Yeah. No, sorry, she's not here right now. Can I take a message? Yeah, I know. I know. Look, it's not my fault, is it? Look, it's not my fault if you just keep happening to call him while she's not here. Well, how am I meant to know? Look, do you want to give me a message or not? All right. Okay. Yep. I'll make sure she gets the message. Okay. Thank you. Bye. Oh, sorry about that. Just distracted. I wanted to talk today about equivocation fallacies. It's something that happens quite a lot, especially when you're talking to theists. Surprise there. It's a kind of a the best way I can describe it is it's a dishonest pun. Because if you're telling a pun, you're using like the same word or the same sort of phrase to mean more than one thing, and the idea is that the audience picks up on that, and the whole joke works because they realise the double meaning. So, like, my mate said to me, you know, I lost my watch. I said, well, what happened? He said, well, I dropped it. I said, oh, right. I go, well, why didn't you pick it up again? He said, I didn't have the time. Now, with that joke, the type... See, with that joke, the time... Thank you. Thank you. Well, see, with that joke, the time means two things at once there. It means, like, the time as in enough time to perform a task, and it means the time as in knowing what the time is on your watch. So it's meaning two things at once, and the audience is meant to understand that. But with an equivocation fallacy, you're using a word or a phrase to mean more than one thing, and you're hoping your audience doesn't notice, and that's why it's dishonest. I'll give a few examples, and there's some quite complicated examples, but I'll go through just sort of the basic ones. The one you hear them a lot is like the word theory with evolution. People go, evolution's only a theory, right? But words mean different things in different contexts. So if you say theory in an informal setting, you say, I've got a theory about this, you're just saying you've got an idea what it might be. Nothing more than that, really. But in a scientific setting, what that would actually be would be a hypothesis. A theory in the scientific sense means a hypothesis that has been rigorously tested and has survived scrutiny. So it's completely different. So to treat it as if they're the same, that's a fallacy. It's dishonest. Now, it might be through ignorance, or it might be deliberate and dishonest. You know, you can give someone the benefit of the doubt the first time they do it, and you say, well, you know, you're using the same word to mean two different things. And then if they continue to do it, then they're being dishonest. So you know, if you're going to use a word, you need to make sure and say exactly what you mean by that word. If you have to have a word mean more than one thing, obviously your argument is very suspicious. You shouldn't have to slide things around and change what the meanings of words are in order to make your point. You should be able to be completely honest and open, communicate properly. Another example that often comes up is morality. Now, for theists, they often go on about subjective morality and that. So they'll have morality meaning what God wants you to do, right? And then, a bit later, they'll talk about morality as if it's the other kind of everyday morality, like treating people well, you know, like we all know, you know, being a good person. And they'll treat it as if it's both. It's one or, you know, it's one and the other. But that doesn't make any sense. You know, if they're just exactly the same, then it's redundant. If, you know, treating people well is just the same as doing what God wants, then God is irrelevant. It doesn't make any difference what he says. Because, you know, if you already know how to treat people well, that's fine. If there's actually any difference between those two, then that means that when God's telling you to do something and it differs from actual normal morality, then you're being poisoned by it. And you're doing something because God wants you to, and not because it's actually a good thing to do. So, you know, either they're the same or they're different. If they're the same, it's completely redundant and, you know, you don't need to mention God. If they're different, you're equivocating. You know, you're saying, God told me to do this, so that's good for morality, that's a good thing to do. And then you're equivocating and saying morality means a good thing for the well-being of others. I was like, no, you have to pick one meaning and stick with it. What does morality mean to you? It can't just mean two different things that you haven't established are the same. Do one more example. This other one that comes up a lot is faith. Ugh. Faith. So it's like a religious faith, and it's meant to be this like special virtue, but what it actually seems to come down to is believing things where there's not particularly good reason to believe it. Like you believed it for a long time, and you know, maybe you're struggling to find evidence, or there isn't any evidence, or it's very poor, but you just keep on believing it anyway. You have faith that it's true, okay? And that's meant to be some sort of virtue that, you know, even though you're being tested and it's not at all evident that what you're believing is true, you believe it anyway. So that's a kind of religious faith. But then they'll say, oh, but it's the same as you. You have faith that science is right, or you have faith that when you get in your car, the car will start. And then that's an equivocation, because that's a different kind of faith. That's a confidence-based faith based on evidence. So you're saying, based on the evidence I have, the experiences I've had, the probability that my car is going to start is very high, because I've known that every time I've got in it before, almost certainly it will start. So that isn't believing on no evidence, that's believing on good evidence. You know, I've got good evidence that when my wife's come in, she's not going to punch me in the face, you know, because it's never happened before. It's never happened before. It's never happened before, so, you know, it's not likely to happen. So they're two completely different things, and I mean, everyone uses the second version all the time. You have to, or else you make stupid decisions. You know, you base your decisions on what you know already, what you've experienced, how things work. That's not the same as just continuing to believe some arbitrary thing that someone told you at some point, and you just still believe in it even though there's no particularly good reason, or you can't give anyone else a good reason. I mean, that's the thing with these things. They say, well, I've got evidence, but I can't show you what it is, because it's based on, you know, whatever, personal experience. So, you know, it's very poor evidence. You know, someone who cares about the truth should be critical about themselves and their own experiences and say, well, you know, did I misinterpret this? Did it really happen at all? And if it did happen, did I misinterpret it? Why did I decide that it is what it is? You know? Was all that stuff already in my head and I just pinned it on it and, you know, don't know. Well, if I can't see your experience, I can't possibly see what it is. But, yeah, so that's an equivocation fallacy. So I think it's very important when you're debating to define what words mean and define them accurately. It's not just about being pedantic and irritating, because if you get halfway through a debate and, you know, you're both using the words to mean two different things, you're arguing at cross purposes. And if one of you is using it to mean two different things, then, you know, they're being dishonest. So you need to shut that down as soon as possible. As soon as you feel anything like this going on, you're saying, like, stop, what does that word mean? Please tell me what it means. If the person can't tell you what it means, well, they won't. There's something very dodgy going on. Because if they can't make an argument using words that have got clear meanings, then, you know, they can't have a very valid point. So if they need to change the definition of words during an argument or even during the same sentence, you know, they're dishonest. Alright, well, thanks for watching. And welcome back to the forum, Evie. Yay! Bye-bye. I've been Rob Valley. See you later.